Hey guys, what's going on? Chad Beck with you, and here we are on the bench. Quite messy it is. See some models up here behind me. In case you didn't know, that's basically how I started this channel, was building plastic models and the such, and I still do that in my spare time when I'm not working on RC stuff and everything. Right now I'm actually working on a Boba Fett model. So anyway, what we're here to talk about today is expo, sensitivity, and gain. Now these are the three settings under the little aircraft button on the DJI Go app, and I'm going to overlay some pictures and maybe some video so you can see what I'm talking about. So when you tap the aircraft on the menu and scroll down to advanced settings where you do your IMU calibration, the very first thing you see when you click on advanced settings is you'll see expo, sensitivity, and gain. Alright, let's talk about what expo is first. Expo basically is a way to dumb down the movement that you put into the stick that translates to the RC. So it works on curves. You'll probably see the lines there on within the app. The old app used to have three settings. It was gentle, normal, and I don't know, full or fast or something like that. But as of right now, at least in the iOS app, there's no presets. You basically have to change them yourself by tapping in the center and swiping left or to the right. Now you notice if you swipe to the left, the curve will kind of go like this, or if you swipe to the right, the curve will kind of get steep and then go. And what you're doing is basically around your center position of your stick is you're creating what they kind of call a deadband. So if you're looking to yaw left or right on the stick, that basically the more gentle you are or the sharper you are, you can either create less of a movement, faster or slower, or a faster movement, faster or slower basically. And you have that ability to do that on all three axes, on throttle, yaw, and I believe pitch. I don't think you can, there's a roll. I can't remember. I'd have to have it in front of me, but I don't. To get the best cinematic and the easiest control for most people, you're basically going to want to put in as much expo on the yaw and the other one, not the throttle, as you can, and maybe a little bit on the throttle if you want to. What that's going to do, if we take my little mini racer quad here, is basically this is where expo really comes into importance, because when I'm flying this, it's flying so fast, I'm using very little stick movements, and it creates a faster motion. So I need to put a little bit of expo in there, so that way if I have a little bit on the roll or the pitch axis, it's not going to immediately dive down. It's going to create a little bit of leeway on the controls. So basically it's going to kind of slow and dumb down that movement a little bit. So hopefully I explained that good enough to you. Now sensitivity and gain, that's kind of something that we have to talk about together, because basically they are two items that are working together. And typically on today's DJI aircraft, you normally don't have to do anything on them, but I did have an issue recently where I was having a problem with the MAVIC holding its altitude. It was basically rising and falling, probably within about, I don't know, plus or minus 10 feet. So I had to adjust my gains a little bit. Now, if you go back to the Wayback Machine of about 2 years ago and look at my channel, you'll see the old DJI F450 kit here, which used to have the old DJI NASA 2 controller with the big antenna mast and everything like that, and 15-minute flight times and big legs with the GoPro down here, and the footage was just awful. You know, if you thought you got bad footage now, be glad you didn't get into this hobby back then. So basically that's when I really had to adjust gains a lot, because you had to basically tune all that stuff out. The NASA default gains basically weren't set for anything, because everything was a different weight, everything was using a different power source, and that's pretty much about it. So gain and sensitivity on the DJI products basically work together. The best way to think of it is gain is basically controlling the flight operation, okay? And sensitivity is basically controlling the flight style. So they work together with each other. If you click into the sensitivity menu, you'll see that you have attitude, brake, and yaw movement limit. You know, none of this stuff is in the DJI manual. I actually had to look up their Wukong flight controller manual and the Matrice, which are DJI flight controllers, to actually see this stuff. This isn't in any of the MAVIC stuff or any of the Phantom 4 stuff. So, I mean, I don't know why. But newbies and maybe some seasoned people kind of need to understand it too. So basically, let's talk the sensitivity. So attitude is basically another one of those reactionary numbers. Now all these numbers go between 80 and 120, I think, and I believe they're all defaulted to 100. So basically, attitude is basically a number that is applied on top of your gains, and that basically relates to flying style. So the lower the attitude, the less forces per se are acting on the aircraft. So it's basically the higher the attitude, the less forces are acting on the aircraft. So you can basically fly a little bit more aggressively. Brake, of course, is something that came up a lot with the Phantom 3s, because brake basically is when you let go of your sticks, how hard and how fast does it stop. A lot of people, including myself with the Phantom 3 Pro, had to lower our braking number down because the plastic that they molded the body in was not the best plastic, and the aggressive braking that it would do would actually create stress fractures in the plastic. Yaw movement limit, that basically is another force that's just applied when you give a yaw command. So basically, the higher the yaw movement limit, the harder it's going to be to yaw whenever you give an input on the stick. So you can see how this all just kind of works on with each other, and it's actually it's calculus inside the flight controller. If you fly mini quads and stuff, it's really similar to the whole PID type of thing and rates and everything like that. So some people might know that, and some of you new guys probably don't. So gains are what actually, like I said, is the flight operation. That's what keeps the aircraft in control in the air. So with my problem, with my vertical hold issue, I noticed that I needed to up my vertical gain a little bit to have it maintain the same altitude. Now this came on here in the winter. Probably it's just an overall effect of the cold and power and resistance and air density and everything else like that. I bumped it up to like 105. The standard is 100, so just up a little bit. You don't need to make like crazy adjustments with these things. I also had a little bit of a yaw drift, and so I think I put my yaw gain up to 105. Now some people haven't had to touch it. Like I said, out of the box, I was one of the first people to get a MAVIC because I ordered mine like 6 or 7 hours after the pre-order day. So, I flew it for a month and a half and didn't have any issues. And then all of a sudden, when the temperature started getting down into the 20s and the wind started acting on it, that's when basically I had to start making those changes. So, I think that is pretty much about it when it comes to those commands. There is something new. If you've upgraded to the Go4 app and you see the cinematic mode, all of your intelligent flight modes, like especially cinematic mode and tripod, all they're actually doing is changing all of these values to create these shots. You can't actually be in tripod mode and then go look at your gains and see what they're set at that time. At least I don't think you can. But if you could, or if you could see it probably at a code level, it is basically highly fluctuating these things in order to restrict the movement, the power, and ability of the aircraft whenever you're in those different modes. If again in the advanced menu, if you scroll down, if you've done the update and you've seen cinematic mode, you know that in cinematic mode that if you let off the sticks, the device, the MAVIC, will still continue to drift 10, 15, 20 feet. Now, there's actually a gain for cinematic mode that you can basically turn up, and there's also an angular velocity gain for cinematic mode that you can turn up. So basically you can control that. So if you want some of the benefits of the dumbed down cinematic mode gains and sensitivity, then you can basically roll it back or move it down. I'm not sure what the defaults are. I haven't actually looked at it. I just saw it in there. So, but like I said, I'm going to overlay some of this stuff, and please feel free to ask any questions. I know it's a huge data dump and it's a lot of information, and there's not really technical information out there. If you want technical information and specifications and a more scientific maybe explanation of what I'm saying, then contact DJI or download or take a look at the manual for the Wukong flight controller or the Matrice flight controller on the DJI website. You're not going to find it in the MAVIC book or the Phantom 4 book or nothing else. So that's about it. We'll try to put some overlays in here like I said. Thanks a lot for all the subscriptions and all the likes and everything like that. The MAVIC has really changed me as far as how YouTube goes, just because the product is just so big and popular, and there's so many new people coming to the great hobby. I'm just trying to provide you guys with as much information as I can, and I'm also learning a lot myself as we go along this journey. So anyway, let's go.